We spend something like 15 years in school, right? We learn all these complex formulas, historical dates, but what about the one thing that affects literally every single day of our adult lives? Money. So today, we're going to dive into the critical financial lessons that were, well, mysteriously left off the syllabus.
Just think about it for a sec. What was it? A bad investment, maybe? A pile of credit card debt you couldn't shake? For so many of us, the most expensive lessons, they don't happen in a classroom. They happen in the real world, where the tuition fee is, well, way, way higher.
So let me tell you about someone, let's call her Anjali. She absolutely crushed it in school, aced every exam, top of her class, but by the time she was 22, she was already drowning in 2 lakhs of debt from a credit card she thought was just free money. And that debt, that was her real report card. And it was a big, fat F. A lesson that cost her way more than any school ever did.
And look, if that story hits a little too close to home, you are definitely not alone. A staggering 76% of adults in India don't have a grasp on the basics of finance. This isn't on you. It's not some personal failing. It's a huge systemic gap in our education.
Okay, so let's get into it. Let's start with the 2 most powerful forces in all of finance. You can think of them like a superhero and a supervillain for your money. They're always working in the background, whether you see them or not, and you can bet they were not on the school syllabus.
All right, first up, the hero of our story, compounding. Honestly, this is pure magic. It's like your money starts having its own little money babies. It's a snowball effect, right? You earn returns, not just on your initial cash, but on the returns you've already made. It's your money working for you 24/7.
Okay, look at this. This is where it gets crazy. This table shows just how big that snowball can get. A simple 10,000 rupees a month, at a pretty standard 12% return, turns into 23 lakhs in 10 years. Not bad, right? But here's the kicker. Look at that next 10 years. It doesn't just double, it nearly quadruples to almost 1 crore. And then, in 30 years, it just explodes to a mind-boggling 3.5 crores. That's not a trick. It's just the power of math and time.
I mean, even Einstein was floored by this. He famously called it the 8th wonder of the world. And he said, "He who understands it earns it. He who doesn't pays it." And honestly, for way too long, most of us have been on the paying side of that equation.
Okay, so now for the villain. Let's talk about inflation. This is the silent thief. It's this invisible force that's constantly chipping away at the value of your money. What it really means is that the 100 rupees in your wallet today, it's going to buy you less stuff next year, and even less the year after that.
Let me put it this way to make it super real. Think about 1 lakh rupees back in the year 2000. That was a lot of money. Well, to buy the exact same stuff today, you'd need almost 5 times that amount, nearly 4.7 lakhs. So that money, if you just let it sit under the mattress, yeah, it's lost almost all of its power.
Okay, so we've got these 2 massive forces, right? The hero and the villain. So, what do? How do we get the hero on our side and fight off the villain? Well, it all comes down to a few simple rules that can totally change how you handle your money. Let's break them down.
First things first, you've got to understand that not all debt is the same. It's not all bad. There's good debt, the kind that helps you buy an asset, something that grows in value or boosts your earning power, like a loan for a house or for your education. And then there's bad debt. That's for stuff that loses value the minute you buy it, usually paid for with high-interest credit cards. It's simple. One builds you up, the other tears you down.
All right, next up, you need a game plan. And the 50-30-20 rule is an awesome, super simple one. Here's how it works. 50% of your income is for your needs, the absolute must-haves like rent and food. 30% is for your wants, the fun stuff like going out. And that last 20%, this is the golden rule that goes straight to your future. You pay your future self first before anyone else.
So what do you do with that 20%? Well, this is a huge trap a lot of people fall into. A crazy 80% of savings in India just sits there, in bank deposits. But remember our villain, inflation? If your bank's paying you, say, 3% interest, but inflation is at 6%, your so-called safe money is literally losing purchasing power every single year. Just saving isn't enough. You have to invest it.
Look, knowing all this stuff is great, but the real magic happens when you start applying it to your own life. This is about rewriting your personal money story, and it starts by seeing the real, hidden cost of all those little choices you make every day.
Let's take something super simple, like that daily trip to a fancy coffee shop. It's just a couple hundred rupees, right? A little treat to get you through the day. Seems totally harmless, doesn't it?
Well,
This is where our old friend, compounding, comes back into the picture with a bang. That harmless 250 rupee coffee, if you had invested it every day for 30 years, could have grown to over 2.5 crores. It's wild. We're hardwired to want the small reward now and ignore the massive reward later. So that coffee, it didn't just cost you 250 bucks, it cost you a huge chunk of your financial freedom.
Okay, I know. That number can feel a little overwhelming. But don't panic. What's done is done. The best part about all this is that it is never, ever too late to start. Your real financial education, your new curriculum, it starts today, right now.
So, here's your game plan. Just 3 simple steps to get started. Number 1, awareness. Just track where your money goes for 1 month. You'll be surprised. Number 2, automate. Set up an SIP, a systematic investment plan, so that 20% gets invested automatically before you even have a chance to miss it. And 3, learn. Just start with the basics of things like taxes and insurance. They're the tools you need to protect your wealth.
And the best part? You don't need to go back to school for this. Your new library is everywhere. It's on YouTube with amazing creators who make this stuff easy to understand. It's in incredible books like The Psychology of Money. And it's on apps right on your phone that make learning and investing easier than ever. The knowledge is literally at your fingertips.
When you boil it all down, it really comes to this. Our schools did a great job teaching us how to get a job, how to earn a paycheck, how to make a living. But financial literacy, that's what teaches you how to build a life with options, with freedom, and with real security. So there you have it. You've just completed the first and maybe the most important lesson that school ever forgot to teach you. So now the power is in your hands. And the only question left is this: what's the very first chapter you're going to write in your new money story?